What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. My name is Sean Sheehan, and I am back with your top 5 bets in the world of mixed martial arts this week. And we have lots of MMA coming up. We have PFL MENA, we have KSW, and we have the UFC this weekend as well. And I have multiple bets from all of those because I'm going to give you a double, a parlay for PFL MENA. I'm going to give you a double, a parlay for KSW, and I'm going to give you 3 big bets from the UFC. So it's actually a pretty interesting weekend in terms of the betting. I'm not sure in terms of the fights themselves, but I found a couple of I think not massively priced shots, but I think ones that have pretty good chance of bringing up the numbers a little bit. So if you're looking for a couple of winners, I think I have you started. Let's recap last week. I actually have a correction to make quickly. Not last week, but the week before, I actually added up my final tally wrong, and I gave you the wrong number. So it is correctly 30 out of 64 I gave. I think I said 30 out of 62, possibly. I had it in my notes. It's not a major thing. It's only small, but overall I didn't want to give out any incorrect information. So as we speak right now, and I'll get into the bets in a second, I'm 33 of 68 with only 2 flyers. I don't want to tell you how many flyers I've given. I've only had 2 flyers. 70. Only 2 flyers hit all year, but 33 of 68 is not bad. I thought I'd gone over the 30 or the 50% for this week, but I hadn't. But hopefully next week we'll do it. But last week wasn't bad. We hit 3 of our 4 bets. Unfortunately, the flyer didn't hit. The flyer was Steve Wrzosek via knockout at plus 420. I mean, I suppose he did nearly knock him out, but he got it. If you had asked me at the end of round 2 if I thought that plus 420 was a good price, I would have said yes, and I would have bit your hand off for it, but the fight didn't go that way. But yeah, I think look, Wrzosek did very well, and I think if they fought again, I think he'd probably win. But look, these things happen. The other bets. So as I said, I got 3 out of 4. The 4th one was was Young Hu. Or Hu Yang even, over in One Championship. And I think he was absolutely robbed blind, to be honest. I thought it was a terrible decision. And I usually don't give out about decisions, as you know. I'm very much on the judge's side. Now, this was one of those fights where it was in One Championship, and it was under the... It wasn't scored. It was scored as a whole. Sorry, it wasn't scored under the 10-point must system. Now, if it was scored under the 10-point must system, I actually do think his opponent, Reece McLaren, should have won. But a plus 160 to have a look at a fight like that where he knocks his opponent down a couple of times, the fight scored as a whole, McLaren does nothing but really kind of hold him against the ring and kind of outpoint him a little bit for 2 rounds, and then he loses. That's a bit tough. That's a tough one. So don't usually give out about my picks being wrong or the judging or anything like that, but that was bad judging. I think they judged it as if they were in America when they were actually in the Lumpini. So I'll give out about that one. On my other bets, Drakkar close minus 160. I'll tell you what, I give myself a pat in the back when it's good bet. Don't think that is necessarily a good one. I think who was he fighting? Joaquim Silva, wasn't it? I think Silva did pretty well now close. I think the heat was an issue for a lot of the lads, and I think that hurt him, but it was a closer fight than I thought it was going to be, to be honest, and not one of my best picks, minus 160, but look, he won, so I'll take it. Bahalio inside the distance, I think that was a good pick, minus 125. That was a fantastic price. That price was way, way, way too much. And I think by the time the fight actually happened, it was probably closer to, I don't know, was it minus 150 or something like that? And then the final bet was Jose Aldo Jr., a plus 138. I talked about it being a respect pick, and by God, was I right to have respect for Jose Aldo. I said last week, there are two choices. He's either comes back and he looks like himself, or he's not himself and he looks, he doesn't look like Jose Aldo anymore. And I was wrong. I actually think he looked better. I think, now he didn't necessarily look better than the Aldo that fought Mendez or, McGregor McGregor, but you know what I mean? Frankie Edgar and things back in the day. But I think he looked better than the last Jose Aldo we saw in an MMA cage. And I think that's down to the boxing. I think he looked very, very good. And, yeah, the utmost of credit to Jose Aldo Jr. an absolute legend, and what a win for him there. Absolutely brilliant. Just dominated the fight, and was the better fighter from pillar to post, basically. So congratulations to your guy Jose Aldo Jr. on that one. Right, let's get into the bets for the weekend, and I'll start you off with my double for PFL MENA, and we'll run through some of the other PFL MENA prices here as well. So the double I'm going to give you is a -163 double, and it's the two favorites in the co-main and the main event. It's Ali Taleb and Abdullah Al-Qahtani. Ali Taleb is -549 and Al-Qahtani is -275. So when you put the two of them together, it's -163. I think these are both phenomenal bets. I think I think it's got to -163 because Al-Qahtani is only -275. I almost gave you -275 by itself, but I decided to throw in Ali Taleb. I think Ali Taleb will without a shadow of a doubt win in that fight against Nauras Abzash. I've screwed up his name now 3 times on tape, so that's good. But Al-Qahtani, first of all, that pick, I'm picking him just based on the experience, I think, more so than anything else. I think, you look at him and you look at a lot of the other lads maybe on this card, and you kind of see, even though he is green, I don't think he's as green as some of the other people. He's a very aggressive fighter, fights in a very kind of loose manner that a lot of maybe younger fighters wouldn't. He's a very good grappler, body lock takedowns. And when you see a lot of strikers like his opponent Taha Bindau, who is a karateka from what I've seen in the fights I've watched, I think there's a big advantage for Al-Qahtani there. I think he's going to counter him with big shots. When he does that, it's probably going to get drawn in a small bit, and I think he'll probably get taken down on the ground. Al-Qahtani is very, very, very good. Brilliant ground and pound. Again, loose ground and pound. When I say loose, I mean like he lets his hands loose. He lets go. Very kind of long, tall guy as well. And I think that'll be good. There's Ta on the other side. He's an accurate fighter and he's a good rhythm fighter, but only 3 fights into his career. I think it's going to be tough against a guy like Al-Qahtani, who, has had 9 fights. This is his 4th fight in the PFL. He's fought in Brave, 5 or 6 times as well, whereas Taha has, a couple of fights in UAE Warriors, which is, a promotion, a bigger promotion as well, so he'll be used to it a little bit. But, from watching him, I saw a ceiling, what's the word? Ceiling's not the word. Ceiling's the opposite word. I saw like somewhere where he can reach. I think he can get to, turn into a very good fighter in mixed martial arts, where he could, let's say in 2 years' time, he could maybe win this tournament, or, fight in the PFL proper, or get to, the UFC or Bellator or whatever. But at the moment at 3-0, it's tough to see, especially against a wrestler like Al-Qahtani. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is Ali Taleb, and I just think this is going to be a really tough matchup for Nauras, who's a good grappler, good on the ground. He kind of looks for the takedowns, but he's almost better off his back and stuff. But he's fighting Ali Taleb. And if you listen to this podcast before, some of my previews last year, I'm massively impressed with Ali Taleb as a fighter. He was undefeated until his last fight. He's 9-1 now, but he fought Khurshid Kakurov, who, again, is probably hard to argue to be outside the top 5 prospects in the world, with Kakurov. So losing that fight via decision, not a massive deal. These two have actually fought before as well, Nauras, and Ali Taleb won that fight, and I think he will win again. I just think he's too well rounded. He's good at stopping the wrestling. Kind of one of these switch stance fighters that is good from every position he sees himself in. Great straight right. He hits hard as well. Good movement. Very hard jab. Great cardio. Very good chin. Just one of those tough guys to fight. In the preview I did for this, I think it was, and maybe I was just talking to someone about it, but he reminds me a little bit of, those lads in the UFC that, like a Pantoja or a Leon Edwards. Just very hard to beat. And unless you find someone very, very, very good, you're not going to beat him. Like Kakarov, very, very, very good. And he won because he is an almightily well-rounded fighter. I don't think Naurez Abza is. Good on the ground, good submissions. And look, could he catch him in a submission? Yes, absolutely. But I very much don't think he will. He sits down in these shots, which is a great thing against guys who are not as good as Ali Taleb. But you fight Ali Taleb, you sit down in your shots like that, he's going to come in and he's going to take one step outside, and the step back in will be with a head kick or a leg kick. And he'll just pick you off from the outside. So, when you get hit as much as Naurez does as well, fighting a guy like Taleb, it's going to be an issue. So those are the picks, Taleb and Al-Qahtani. And let me get that giant price for you again, -163. While we're here, just let's have a quick other look through some of the other prices there. Nothing really stood out to me on this. The only one, apart from this one, Rashid has. He's +105, the underdog, against Xavier Aloui. Now, watched a bit of Aloui after the preview even I did the other day. Someone sent me a video of him, and he does look a good fighter, and I can understand why the price is close, but there's two parts to this, and why I didn't give it as one of my bets. I actually had it in as one of my bets and took it out. Rashid has, I think I might be overestimating. Has a small bit based on who he has fought and who he's looked good against. Like, he's fought some good guys, some names you would know, but he's lost all of those fights. Now, will Aloui be one? So he's fought. I can just pull it up here. He's fought Jordan Vucinic and a few more as well. Like, is Aloui one? Is he the next guy? Like, is he just the next guy who's going to beat him? That would be my biggest thing here. Like, I talked about him at the weekend. Let me pull up his name. What's his name? Drakkar Klose. Last week I said it. Like, he's only lost to the best fighters in the world. Is Jackie Silva one of the best fighters in the world? No. So I think he'll win. That logic worked, right? And it was kind of bad logic because he almost didn't win. But like, Rashid has. He fought Franz Manamba, lost. Fought Yanis Gimori and lost. Who's fighting in the UFC now? And he's fought Jordan Vucinic and lost. He's won every other fight, right? And, when you see the PFL picking him up, or you see him fighting, in some of these good promotions, it's tough for me to pick against him because I've seen what he can do. And, split decision with Franz Manamba, went to 3 rounds with Jordan Vucinic, split decision against Yanis Gimori. He is a good fighter. I'm picking him. I'm picking him, but I'm talking myself out of it. I like that price +105. I think it's enough of a risk, and I'll go with him. It's not one of my bets for the week, but I'll pick it anyway. The other one I was looking at was Adam McKinney. He's the underdog too, -163. Don't know a whole lot about his opponent, Islam Reza, but I like McKinney. He's not a bad fighter at all there. And then there's a lot of kind of bigger favorites on this card as well. Obviously, we talked about Ali Taleb being a big favorite. Tariq Ismail is a big favorite as well. He's one of the other most experienced guys on. He's -400. And kind of that's the top and bottom of it then. Right, let's move on to the next bet for the week. And bet number 2 is a double from KSW. And I'm going for the top 2 fights as well here. And it's -175 for Bartosinski and Wrzosek to win their 2 fights. Now I won't delay you on this one because this is a pretty easy enough pick here, I think, for both of these. Like, Bartosinski is the champ here. He beat Saldin Parnas last time out, and his opponent Igor Mikhalzian is coming in on short notice, only on 4 days notice, and it's going to be very, very tough for him, I think, to win this fight. Bartosinski is a really good kickboxer, but he can fight all around. He's very good BJJ as well. Very good footwork and accurate fighter. His opponent, he's more kind of a ground and pound guy, will choke you out. He hasn't fought in a year though after a back injury, and I think that could be an issue. I think I've seen enough of Bartosinski to think that he isn't going to get taken down easily at 14-0 unbeaten. Especially when he's fought the likes of Parnas, he's fought the likes of Mikhail Michalski, Andres Grebich, and a few more, like some good guys who you'd know if he had an issue there, they would show it up. And I don't think his opponent, Igor, on the weekend is going to be able to do that. So that's why I like him there. And the other side of it then is maybe a little bit more of an unknown, but Haitor Arda Wrzosek is 4-0. He's fighting 3-0 Artur Szpilka, who's a former boxer. Szpilka fought Deontay Wilder, but Wrzosek actually fought beat, I think, Badr Hari in kickboxing, but he's come over. I was very impressed with him last time out in his fight at the, was it the Coliseum, KSW 90 anyway, the big one, and he actually fought the Coliseum in the fight before that. I'm sorry about that, and won both of them by first round knockout. But the two fights previous to that, one went to decision, one went to the end of the third round. And he got kind of wrestled in those fights. He ended up getting back up, and he ended up winning both of them. So, like, there's a bit in that as well. You look at these kickboxers, sometimes you think, okay, if they get wrestled, they have big problems. But he didn't. Now, he's not going to get wrestled here because he's fighting a boxer. Kickboxer versus a boxer in MMA, I think the kickboxer has a massive advantage. He's big and long as well, although sometimes he does get drawn in, but surely in this fight he'll throw in a few leg kicks and throw in a few head kicks. And I think Szpilka, who's a bit older and a bit maybe more cumbersome as well than Wrzosek, will have trouble. So those are the picks for that one there. Elsewhere in KSW, not a whole lot. I would look at. The other big fight is Patrick Kramarczyk against Robert Ruchala. Ruchala is the favourite, -175. I think that's about right. I really like Kramarczyk though. I just like him as a fighter. But Ruchala might have the upper hand there. Bartosinski, I think he's a very good bet there against the aforementioned Mikhail Michalski, -150. There's a lot of talk about this Kasper Formella. He's coming over to find Ahmed Vida. He's a -225 favourite. He's just kind of been a big signing for KSW there recently. So yeah, those are the kind of bets I would suggest on KSW. Right. Bet number 3 for the week, and the rest of them are the UFC bets. So I'm going with, for bet number 3, Robelis Despaigne to win via TKO KO in round 1 at +125. This is a heart pick over a head pick. Although it's a bit of a head pick as well. I love this guy. He's fighting Waldo Cortez Acosta, who will strike with him, who will fight with him. And that's a big part of the reason why I've actually gone for him here. He's a beast. Like, it was funny. I was, my father called there one day. He was like, put on a few fights there. Show me a good fighter. And I played all of Robelis Despaigne's fights for him, 5 of them. Or maybe it was the first 4, but in like 2 minutes. So he's the perfect guy to show it to people. He's an absolute beast. He's big and tall and, knows exactly what he's doing. Like, you look at Waldo Cortez Acosta's record as well. He's only 1 submission. That's good. You don't want the lad submitting someone. And that submission was in his second ever fight back in 2021. I think they're going to strike. I think Despaigne is going to land his big shots. And I think he's going to knock him out. No, Waldo Cortez Acosta has never been knocked out, but I don't think he's ever fought someone like Despaigne either. I think this is a massive step up for him, obviously, for Despaigne. Like, Josh Parisian and any of the lads he fought outside of the UFC are not on the level of Waldo Cortez Acosta. Like, in fairness, okay, he's not exactly, John Jones or anything, but he's 11-1, and you have to respect that in a fighter. But I think when you look at a guy like Despaigne, you look at how vicious a fighter he is, and you kind of have a sense of, like, he's at the big time now. He's going to need to improve and go to the next level. I think to do that, he needs to be the guy like Waldo Cortez Acosta pretty handily, I think. Give himself another 3 months training to get better. Do it again to someone else. Another 3 months of training to get better. So when he meets someone, who would be a bit, let's say like a Curtis Blades, might be a bit of a big jump too quickly, right? But when you meet someone like that down the road, that he's going to be ready for them. And I think, funny enough, like, training for those lads is more important than almost fighting, easier versions of them, I suppose, earlier in your career. Now, I'm not saying that about Waldo Cortez Acosta, but I'm talking about down the line. The point overall here is, I think he's going to come in. I think Waldo Cortez Acosta, like, what does Cortez Acosta do? He looks for the shot over the top. He's a good jab. He's a good tight fighter. Despaigne kind of waits, and he wades in with these big shots. And he's accurate. He knows where to land. He's big and tall as well. Like, you're Waldo Cortez Acosta, you're 6'4". You're thinking, there are many people going to be taller than me. And then you meet a guy like Robelis Despaigne who's 6'7". Like me myself, I'm around 6'3". When I meet someone, so I met like MVP once, and like I don't know what MVP is down as. I think he's down as like 6'3" or 6'4". But that guy, MVP is 6'6" minimum, and you're just looking up at him, like big guy, big guy, and it's not right for a guy like me to be looking up at a guy, you know? It's not right for a guy like Waldo Cortez Acosta to be fighting a guy who's much bigger than him, to be looking up at him. They're just not used to it, right? If you're a 125-pounder, you're absolutely well used to it, right? You know? Or, the vast majority of the smaller fighters, even if they're big fighters in their weight class, are used to, their teammates, if they're a welterweight, they're going to be sparring with a middleweight or something like that. Or let's say even McGregor, who was massive for 145. Sure, he would have been sparring with Carl Pinder and something like that, who's much bigger than him. But for heavyweights, that isn't the case. And I always kind of think that the bigger, taller, if it's a good one now. If it's a good one. If it's a bad one, absolutely not. But I always think that there's a bit of a struggle for those heavyweights who meet the bigger guy. And I just have a feeling that might be the case here. I think he's more athletic and can land those shots as well. I think the accuracy will be a big part of it. And, 35 years of age, he needs to get on the road. 36 in a couple of months. So I'm going for Robelis Despaigne. And Despaigne, John Anik asked, and he's happy enough to give the anglicised version of it as well. So that's how we shall refer to him. So that's plus 125. The next bet here, I'm going for Derrick Lewis. And I'm going for him straight up moneyline price of minus 145, which he is right now. Let me just check that again. Minus 145, best price there. Oh, no, he's moving in and out there. He started at minus 163, went out to minus 173, back in now, minus 145. I see him a few places there, minus 155-ish. So this price has kind of moved up and down. Look, I have a very simple explanation for this. I went on and I watched Rodrigo Nascimento fight a couple of times, right? And I watched his Tanner Boser fight, and I watched Dante Mays fight. They fought twice. I didn't watch it all. I think it was the most recent one. And the one thing I got from this, and a little bit like the Waldo Cortez Acosta fight there, is Rodrigo Nascimento is going to beat most heavyweights because he is more tactical than them, more technical than them, and has better cardio than them. So look at his last 3 wins, 3 decision wins, 2 split decision wins. There's very little, and those are his only 3 decision wins in his career, right? And he's never lost by decision either. So something has changed him a little bit. But you look at his other fights just before that, right? It was an overturned fight, but went to the second round. Another fight, a couple of fights before that, went to the second round. He's not one of these guys who's all first round. No, he's a lot of first round, and especially early in his career before he got to the UFC. But since he's been in the UFC, only one of his, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights have finished in the first round. That's very unusual for a heavyweight, right? And I look at the guys he's fighting, and none of them stick out to me as a guy who's a better athlete than him or who is faster than him. That's going to change on Saturday night, because say what you want about Derrick Lewis, but when Derrick Lewis wants to move, he can move. He can throw a big flying knee or so. Like, I actually think Derrick Lewis could knock Rodrigo Nascimento out with a flying knee in this fight early. I just think, like, if you put the two of them together and this turns into a 25-minute tactical boxing match, Rodrigo Nascimento will almost certainly win. And it could happen. I was a little bit surprised to see actually that that wasn't maybe where the betting lines took it, but I think it's right where they have taken it, and I still think Lewis is pretty good at that price. Now, if it goes up to minus 200 or something like that, maybe I would avoid it a little bit, but I like Lewis. The other bet I was looking at with Lewis was the knockout, and I wasn't completely enthused by that minus 132. You're only giving me minus 132 versus minus 145. No, I'm not going to take that. And I've been stung too many times with the round betting as well. Like Lewis to win in round 1 plus 220. It's not bad, but it could go on a little bit longer the way Rodrigo Nascimento fights. So here is the reason I'm giving it. I'm giving it because I think Lewis will find the moment. I think he'll land a flying knee. He'll get taken down. He'll get back up. Rodrigo might be a little bit tired and he'll throw a big right hand. Like 5 rounds. If you have 2 fighters, right, and one is a knockout artist and one is a technical fighter who wins decisions, which, okay, I know he's only won 3, but they've been 3 in a row. Bear with me here for a second. You'd usually say the 5 rounds would benefit the technical guy who likes to go longer. Not in this case here, I don't think. I think the longer Derrick Lewis has, the more seconds he has to knock you out. Because he only needs 1. He only needs 1 second. He only needs 1 punch. He only needs 1 knee. And Derrick Lewis has shown in the past. Although, he hasn't been on as good of a run recently as he once was. You know, he's last 4 of his last 5. Only beaten Rodrigo de Lima. But there's the guys who, you know, Jelton Almeida, Spivak, Pavlovich, Tuivasa, Gan, are any of them as good? Is Rodrigo as good as any of them? I don't think so. So, Derrick Lewis to win that fight. Right. The final pick of the day and the flyer is one that I was thinking about, and I was like, should I give this? I don't have full faith in this fighter, let's just put it that way. But then I went and watched his opponent for 4 seconds, and I said, yes, I'm going with this. So the bet is Terrance McKinney to win by knockout at plus 350. No round or anything, just to win by knockout at plus 350. And the fight, so he's fighting Esteban Ribovic. The fight I went for Esteban Ribovic was the like Rabzabov fight. And if you go and watch the first 5 seconds of that fight, you will know why. Because, so he comes out, and he gets immediately knocked down with a big, hard shot. What is Terrance McKinney good at? He's very good at coming out and like immediately knocking lads out and beating them in the first round. I nearly saw enough there. Now, I continued to watch it and watched more of him. That like Rabzabov fight, and I really like Rabzabov as a fighter, and I think he's a very good technical fighter. I think he's obviously better than Ribovic, but better than McKinney as well. He took him apart, really, for the periods of the fight I watched, and I think Ribovic showed that he can punch, right? And he has power, but his defense is a big, big issue. Obviously, we've seen him on the ground. He's very good fighting on the ground. He fights out of Nova and Yao, so they're going to be good. Nova, no, Argentina, but that camp, they're going to be good on the ground. They're going to be good everywhere. But I just feel like McKinney, who started off his UFC career in, fine fettle, coming in, absolutely decimating Matt Travola, and then, quick finishes in his, in 2 of his upcoming fights after that, had, Bonfim, Dober, Sadikov. They're tough matchups, but he's won his last 2 in a row. He's got back to knocking lads out, both of them early as well. God almighty, I'd be surprised now after watching Ripkovic the way I did to see McKinney not landing those big shots, because, and like the straight up price in this, I don't know, maybe I'm a bit off, but like McKinney is the underdog here, minus 135. He started off, plus 135. He started off plus 164, so the price is coming in. Maybe by the time this is out, maybe he will be the favorite, but yeah, I'm surprised, honestly. I haven't seen, and I watched a bit more of Ripkovic. It'd be unfair just to watch his loss, but I haven't seen a whole lot that was massively impressive. Now, the thing about McKinney is you get him past 1 round, the fight turns. But I'm banking on it. As I said, it's the flyer of the week. It's plus 350, and that's what I'm going for. Right. That is it. Anything else from the rest of the UFC? Not really, to be honest. Do you know, one fighter I really like is Kevin Doucette, and again, he's another guy whose price has moved. Started off at around, it says minus 205 here. I was sure I saw it at a different price, but he's anywhere from minus 240 now into minus 220. So I think I would not go for it against Jared Gooden at that price, but I do like Kevin Doucette. The price for the decision is out, the decision to knockout isn't out yet, so I would hold off on that. JJ Aldrich for Veronica Hardy. I like Aldrich as an underdog there, to be honest. Plus 122. I think that's a pretty good price. I like Hardy, but I feel like she's a little bit green yet. And Aldrich beats a lot of fighters she probably shouldn't. So I think as an underdog price there, that's very good. I think Jake Hadley is a steal of a price. Minus 145. That's a great price against Charles Johnson. I was really looking for the decision for Tabitha Ricci and Tisha Torres. It's after coming up now. Let's see what the price of the decision is. Fight goes decision minus 360. Oh yeah, I did see it. Sorry, that's why I ignored it, because it's minus 360. Torres is the underdog pick. I wouldn't mind that at all. Another fight I abandoned here because it's Chase Hooper and Vyacheslav Borishev. And if you have been a long time listener to this show, I have picked badly in their fights, both of them multiple times. So this is a disaster for me. My thought here, right? Pick Borishev. Minus 135. That's a great price. He's a much better fighter than Chase Hooper. So what you should do here is back Chase Hooper to win, because I always pick those two wrong. Always. So, the other fight that I'm really interested... Well, there's a few other fights I'm really interested in. Minifield, Ulberg. Would you pick Minifield as the underdog at minus 220? Plus 220, sorry. I don't think so. The Ulberg knockout price, not enough for me. Minus 110. No. Avoid that fight. Ferreira, Rebecca. I really like Rebecca. Minus 400. Not enough for me. Ferreira's a tough guy, and I think he could stick in there. Maybe Rebecca to win by decision was a price I was looking at, and that is plus 250. Plus 250. I kind of like that, although Rebecca is a very, very, very good fighter. But Caceres Woodson, there's money to be made somewhere in this fight, and I don't know have I found it or not. Caceres plus 180. Woodson is around minus 200, minus 195. I do like Woodson here, right? Woodson to get the knockout is plus 500. Caceres isn't knocked out that often. Woodson to win the decision is, let me just look here, minus 105, minus 100-ish, even money. Actually, plus 106 here in one place. That's probably where you go. But if you're looking for a flyer, maybe that Woodson knockout at plus 500 would be the way. Caceres, a guy who's been around now for a long time. He might be the oldest, but he's taken a lot. But yeah, a lot of fights there I really like, and I haven't been able to figure out, to be honest. But I figured out 5 others, and we went for them. So let's give a quick recap before we go. The top 2 bets are doubles. First double is Taleb and Al-Qahtani over in PFL MENA. That's minus 163. Minus 175 for Bartosinski and Wrzosek at KSW. Then we've Robelis Despaigne to win in round 1 via knockout at plus 125. It's minus 145 to Derrick Lewis to win straight up. And then the flyer of the week is Terrance McKinney to win by TKO KO at plus 350. All right, that's it from me. Please bet responsibly. Enjoy the fights at the weekend. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.